Hey there, I'm Kevin Mendenhall with Drake Canyon Architecture, and today we're going to do part 2 of how to build a Revit window family. These particular window families will include a nested header in the window. It includes trim, which is fully parametric. You're able to adjust the width and the depth. You can adjust the top and bottom, which it will overhang a little bit, top and bottom, if that's the style that you choose. And then we will also have a little toggle that's built into these windows, so you can check a checkbox, and it will turn on the text tempered in your window schedule. So today we're going to start the window itself. In part 1 we did the window panel, which is the part with the glass in it. Today we're going to do the window frame, and that's going to be a sweep, which is swept around the opening, the window opening. And we're also going to start on the window trim itself, and I'm going to share the trick that I learned to make your material go the right direction. In Revit, a lot of times the grain or the material, if it's a directional material, you may have a piece of trim that's running vertically and the material runs horizontally. I've found a way to make it run the direction you want it, no matter which way you turn the object that you're using. So I'll share that with you as well. So the way this works is that we have all our little parts and pieces that we build, and then we're going to assemble them or nest them into the window family to create the final product. And as we always do, I'd like to remind you to like and subscribe, and if you have any thoughts or questions or requests for videos in the future of how to do something in Revit or anything with architecture in general, please let me know in the comments. And with all that said, we got a lot of work to do on these windows, so we'll get started and jump into Revit. So we're going to start by going to our Family's New button here. We're going to go to English Imperial, and we're going to select our profile family template, and we'll just double click on that to start this. So I'm going to show you what we're going to create. This is what it's going to look like. This is just a simple profile. It's a 1/16 of an inch. Our frame itself is 1/16 of an inch. The distance inside of our track is 1 inch, which is the depth of our window frame. This is for our XO windows and our XOX windows, as well as our single hungs. All of those have a double track. There's going to be one version of this window that is fixed, and it's just going to be half of this track. So this is the very easiest part of the process. We'll get over here to our blank drawing, and I'm going to select our line up here. I'm going to start at our origin, which is our intersection here. I'm going to make this 3/4 of an inch long, and 1/16. Okay, now I'm gonna copy this line. I'm just gonna hit CO on the keyboard, and that's gonna be 1/16. And grab that line there, copy that at 1 inch. 1/16 again. One inch. And 1/16. Okay. Now we're just going to draw a line across the bottom. We're going to take that, copy that up, 1/16. And we're going to split this here, SL on the keyboard to split. And I'm going to grab our line tool real quick, just create these lines at the top, and TR on the keyboard, trim, trim all these lines up, and that's it. And all we need to do now is save this family. It's just a profile. I use my downloads folder as a junk folder, and I've already got this saved, so I'm not going to save it, but I would just save this as window frame profile or something of that nature, just so I know what it is, and save it in a safe place. So I'm going to cancel out of that. So now I'm going to close this, and we're going to go to File, or New, in our families area here. We're going to go to English Imperial. This time we're going to go to Window and Open. Again, as I had explained in part 1, this template is set up so that we're looking from the top down, and of course they have interior and exterior marked for us, so we know which side of the wall is which. So our frame is going to go to this side of the wall. So we want to load our profile into our template here, into our family. So we're going to go to Insert and Load Family, and we're going to go find the profile that we just created, and in my case it is down here. I call it Window Frame. Open that up. So now if we go to our project browser and open this up, expand families, profiles, and there's our profile there. I'm going to create a reference plane. I'm just going to drag this out right here. I'm actually going to lock this plane to the wall. So I'm going to go Line and tab to the wall and lock that. I'm sure there are more ways to do this, but this is the way I do it. It seems to work fine. So it's this line that I'll be using to associate everything to, whether it be the window frame, the header, the window panels themselves, etc. It's all going to be kind of based off of this. I am, however, going to use the 3D edges when I create this sweep here. So we're going to go to our 3D view, which is view 1 here, and I'm going to go to Create, Sweep, Pick Path. This is where we will pick our 3D edges. Want to make sure that we're on the exterior side of our wall, which is the front. I'm just going to click on the edges here, and we're going to click OK. Before I do, though, I'm going to make note that you can see this little sketch here, and it is actually, if you look at it, so you can see a couple of reference lines in there, that is just like the profile that we're going to load into. If you remember right, when we created the profile, we had these reference lines in that family template. I'm going to click OK, and we're going to go to our reference level view, our top view, and we're going to load our profile, which is window frame here. Select our profile, I should say, and there it is. You can see how it landed right where it needs to be. Sometimes it will not. It'll be rotated at different angles depending on how you drew it in your template. If you need to make adjustments to this, this is where you would do that. If the angle were off, you would hit 90 degrees or whatever, 90, 180, 270 increments of 90 degrees, obviously. If it needed to be offset, You can offset the Y direction. We'll just go like 1 inch, and or you can offset the X direction. Same thing. It'll go the other way. So you just use these fields to adjust that until it is where you want it to be. And we're going to click OK. Check mark, and if we go to our view on here, now you can see there is our window frame and it's attached to our window opening. If we go here to family types, and this will bring up our parameters. We'll just flex these to see that that sweep flexes with the window, and it does, so we're good there. And we want to be able to adjust the material on this window frame, so we're going to select the frame, and we're going to go over here to the left hand side, and you see where it says material. Just going to click on that little button. We're going to click on new parameter. We're going to call this material. Oops. And can't seem to get that in there. There we go. We're going to leave this as a type because we're going to want all the window frames in our library to change all at once. So if we make it a type, it's going to change all at once. If we make it an instance, it's only going to change one window. So we're going to click OK. So now that we're this far, we're going to save this, and we're going to go save as family. And again, this is where we want to save this in a place that that we can remember where we put it, and with a name that that makes sense. I call mine, all of my families that I build and create, I call DC for Drake Canyon, and then I name it whatever it is. So in this case, it would be it'd be DC, usually dash, and Windows, or actually in this case would be XO Windows. That's what I'm going to do first. And as I said, I save stuff into my downloads folder as my junk folder or temporary folder. I've already built these families and have them saved, so I'm not worried about it at this point. But a quick note, I don't typically save all the parts to my families. I save them, or I do save them, but I save them as temporary. So I'll throw them into my downloads folder. I import those into the final family, and that's where they're stored. I don't keep all the parts and pieces. I assemble them into one family, and then I save that whole file, and that whole file contains all these, like the panel, the profile, the header, etc. In this case, so I'll go ahead and save it. I'll go to Windows. I'll create a new folder. We'll call this temp. Alright, so we're done with this. We can close this. So I'll go File, Close. And the next thing that I told you that we would do is that I would show you how to create trim or objects where the material runs in the right direction. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to go to New, again under our families, New, English Imperial, and this is the key here, as I've found. We're going to go to Generic Models, Face-Based. So the difference here, it's kind of, it looks the same as the other family templates that we've been using. As you're looking at the drawing here, you're looking down. You have a reference level. You have front, left, right, back, which is front, back, left, right. But you'll notice that we have this here, and that is the face that we are working on. And if you look on the view cube, we can kind of see front, right, top, etc. So now, if we go to our reference level, if I draw our trim, and that's what we're doing here, draw my trim so the length of it runs left to right, and I keep that in mind with everything that I create, that I will draw it in the orientation that I want the wood grain to run or whatever. So if I have a long board that's running in this direction, I would obviously want the wood grain to run the length of the board. The key to this, though, is this part of this template. This is the face. So when we place something in our next family, in our window family, or even in a Revit drawing, this object is going to look for a face, and it's going to be just like this one. It's going to be oriented just like this, but with this template, we're going to be able to hit our space bar, and that trim or that object will rotate, and that's where that material stays in keeping with however we drew that. So we're going to do this real quick. This is a super simple family here. We're going to create some reference planes. This is going to be just like a piece of nominal wood, 2x4, 2x6, 2x8, etc. We're going to create parameters so that those so that we can adjust that. So we're going to keep our centers as Revit has given them to us here. We're going to hit DI on the keyboard, and we're going to do some equality constraints. We're going to do an overall dimension. We're going to do the same thing in the other direction. We're going to make those equal as well. And then we want to jump to one of our side views. I usually use the right just because. I'm going to create another reference plane. This time we're coming off our reference level, and we're going to go DI on the keyboard for another dimension. And we're just going to move that to 1.5 inches. That's typically what I make my trim as. Select the dimension, then we're going to come up here to the top to create parameter, and we're going to make this, we're going to call this thickness. We're going to keep that as a type. Okay, we're going to go right back to our reference level, select this dimension, go up here, create another parameter. We're going to call this one length. We're going to leave that type, and we'll group it under dimensions again. And this one here, we'll call this width. And the tricky thing about this is that when you put it into your drawing and you're able to flip it, width, when you're looking at it, and the width is going from bottom to top, it's a little weird. But anyway, I always call the width of my board, which would be the 3.5, 5.5, 7.5 side of the board, I call that the width. So we're going to click OK, and then this is just going to be a simple extrusion. Okay, and we're going to just draw a square like that. We're going to align and lock all this to our reference planes, and we're going to click Finish. And then we want to go to our right side elevation, and we want to make sure that this is locked in both directions. Align, and I usually grab the reference plane there. Okay, and just like that. So that's it. That's our piece of lumber. And of course, since we created everything as types, we can go here and we can create a new type. We'll call this 2x6. Okay, we'll call our, already have our 1.5 inches, and we'll call this 5.5 inches, and we'll just make this an even number, 4 feet. Okay, you'll see everything flexes, and if we go to our 3D view, you can see You can see what it looks like in the 3D mode. And one last thing we want to do is select the extrusion. We're going to go to our material, go to category, we're going to click new parameter, and we're just going to call this material. And as I mentioned in the other video, this is basically just this button here is just basically a little gateway, so that when we put this into our other family, we're going to tie this to that family. The parameters in this family are going to tie to the other family. And that's it. We just need to save this. We save as family. Leave it as a generic model. That's fine. And we'll just call this trim. And this is the same folder that I saved our last file in. I'll just save that there. And we'll call that good for today. In our next video, we will start putting all this together. Now we have all our families, for the most part, are built, and we will we'll put them into the start to assemble them as a window in our next part 3. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.